Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Jen and this is my last China video. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. Today am going to be answering your questions that you left for me on my Instagram or questions that I just had before I went on my China trip so that you guys will have a better idea for when you go, or if you're just curious about what's going on in China, that's what I'm here for. I am wearing my Peppa the Pig shirt today because Peppa the Pig is super hip and popular in China right now, and I bought a shirt there and I just thought it's appropriate to wear it. So yeah, it just feels good to wear it. Let's get right into it. Let's answer your questions. Okay, wait, it would have been a good idea to probably pop these up in here first. So I think the first kind of question that I'm going to answer is just like my own, to explain to you why was I even in China. The reason was I went there for a month to study Chinese, just to basically practice the language, and I just thought it was a really good opportunity to go to China and actually just put myself in the environment to help me learn really quickly. And exactly that is what it did. Somebody asked me about the air in China. What is the air like? Is it really as polluted as it seems? The city that I went to is Harbin. It's actually like, wait, I'll put it up here. So it's actually like super north of China, and up there it gets like super cold. The weather gets like colder than in Canada in some places in the winter, and then it's really hot in the summertime. But when it comes to the air and the pollution, it really wasn't bad. I didn't really notice a difference when I went to that city, except for that it was almost a little bit heavier. Like it just felt like, I don't know, it's honestly like it's very hard to notice. My one friend has asthma. They said that it was a little bit noticeable, but not like super noticeable. However, that same friend went to Beijing and he had to have a face mask because there it's a lot more smoggy. You can literally see the pollution there, whereas in Harbin we didn't really notice much of a difference. Somebody asked me about like wearing makeup in China. I also had this question when I was first going. Like my normal routine consisted of using like foundation and like mascara and whatnot, and going on this trip converted me. All you really need, if you need makeup, is powder and maybe like a lipstick, mascara if you really like it. But for me, like your skin, like it sweats when you're there because it's so hot. It was about like, I don't know, 33 degrees on average kind of thing, and then it was 28, but it was humid, so it felt hotter. So like your skin is constantly like sticky, and same with your face. For me, I wore a powder, and I just bought like I bought an expensive powder. I bought like a 50 SPF powder before I went, and I just wore that every single day just because my face is actually like super red. So I just wore that powder every day to kind of make everything seem very neutral. Yeah, and actually because if I combined the questions of air and makeup, yes, my skin did get a little bit worse for a little while. I had a few breakouts, as you'll probably have seen, and I think it was like my number 2 vlog. So that was that. Yeah, wearing makeup, like you can totally wear makeup. Another girl that I knew, she wore mascara and lipstick every single day. I just wouldn't recommend wearing like anything heavy because then your skin will probably get a lot worse. You're sweating all the time and the makeup will get into your pores. What do you recommend bringing on your first trip? Well, everything in China is very cheap. If you are thinking about bringing toothpaste, a toothbrush, shower gel, everything, you really don't need to. Don't bring shampoo and conditioner, you really don't need to. Just go to a drugstore, go to a grocery store, and everything is so cheap that it is just more worth it to get it there, because I stayed there for a month, so it's like getting like the regular sizes of everything was okay for me. Like everything is so ridiculously cheap there, like I can't say that enough. What else should you bring? You can also buy an umbrella there for super cheap because it's very common to hold the umbrella to protect yourself from the rays, and it honestly, like, keeping yourself in shade is very handy. What else? Sunscreen. Deodorant. They don't have deodorant there, so bring deodorant. Some kind of sunscreen is probably useful. However, because of all the smog and clouds, and like sometimes even though it's a sunny day, it's not because of the smog, you won't really end up like burning because the sun's not directly hitting your skin, but you will end up like tanning or something, and it's always good to protect your skin from all of those sun rays. So yeah, that's something. What else should you bring? Money, obviously. Oh, if you're going for school or like visiting people, bringing something like from your country is probably a good idea because you will make friends, and then I felt bad leaving without giving them anything like from Canada. What else should you bring? Yeah, it's hard to like recommend, like otherwise it's kind of like just your own like personal stuff. Like for me, I had to make sure to bring all my cables. Don't forget like a power adapter. Those are so cheap on Amazon. Oh, fun fact, so you know how like you have the power adapter, okay, I don't have one available right now, but like the power adapters, so it's just like two like slants, but like basically every single plug in like a city in China will also have like the 2-prong ones. So like if you just have like, I know my Mac laptop just has like the 2-prong, you can plug it directly into there. Like you don't actually need an adapter. However, like in some cases you might, especially if yours are the 3-prong ones, then maybe getting a power adapter would be a good idea. But yeah, otherwise it's really up to you what you want to bring. Compared to Western standards, what surprised you the most? Toilets. That was easy. I definitely would say toilets. Obviously they're squat toilets. I didn't actually know what a squat toilet looked like going into China, but the first toilet that I used was in the airport, and of course it was a squat toilet. So I actually really like them because you don't have to touch anything. If those kind of bathrooms were to Western cleanliness standards, I think I would prefer to have squat toilets everywhere. I just love them a lot more. I think they're very, very efficient. When it comes to like Western standards, I think I should say this too. People are very more like not caring of like what everybody else is doing. Now, it sounds weird to say that out loud, but here, like if you go and you start like spitting on the street, people will look at you weird. But if you do that in China, people don't even give you a second glance. Like everything there is kind of like normal. Nothing is very weird. Like the reason why people stared at me so much is because I'm obviously white. So like people would stare at me and ask me for pictures. So like that was just a little like weird, but not gonna lie, I didn't really mind. I really like the fact that everybody is so like, you're able to kind of do whatever you want, and obviously not whatever, but it's a completely different like vibe. Like you can pretty much do whatever and say whatever, and it's okay, if that makes sense. Like obviously to a certain extent, like don't take that like completely literally, it's to a certain extent. So I think that's like what surprised me most. Like it is just a completely different culture, right? Like they act completely differently, they do things completely differently. Certain mannerisms are okay while others are not. But it's just important to do your research, especially depending on whether you're going to northern or southern China. People do things differently, people talk in different ways. So it's just kind of like doing your research to really like see exactly. What were some things that impressed you most about China? I love this question because there is so much to talk about when it comes to what impressed me in China. I love WeChat. WeChat is like a messaging app, or like kind of like a social media kind of thing in China that everybody has. Every single person uses it. Now with WeChat, you can also use it to pay for things. So you have WeChat Pay. You basically connect your bank account to it, and you can put money in your bank account if you're a foreigner, and then just transfer that money into WeChat. And with WeChat, you can go anywhere and they can either scan it, or you scan their barcode and you type an amount of like what you want to pay them, and then you confirm it, and then you just show them that you paid. So that made things so much easier because literally every single place that you go to has WeChat Pay. But like, I don't know, paying with cash can be tedious, carrying the right amount of cash, like not knowing if you have the right amount of cash. It's really hard, and paying with a bank card is not really like a thing. Like you only ever see people paying with Alipay or WeChat Pay. So I got myself WeChat Pay. If you're going to China, you must get it. I recommend going to ICBC to go get your bank card if you're going on the same program as me, because if you go to Bank of China, they will refuse you if you are a foreigner, and especially if you have a visa for only like 1 month. But ICBC will accept you. All you have to do is fill out some paperwork, and then you're basically set up, and you can just keep adding money to your account. So that made things super easy. I love it. Amazing. Another thing is the people. You might think that because there's so many people, like, yes, people do kind of go about their own business, but everybody is so willing to talk to you and they want to find out more about you. I just think like people are so kind on the inside. Like obviously there are exceptions to this. I had people yelling at me because I had a seatbelt on. By the way, don't wear a seatbelt in a taxi or a Didi, which is Uber. Don't wear a seatbelt, because if you wear a seatbelt, that is completely offensive to them. That is what I found out the hard way. He started yelling at me and took off my seatbelt for me. So that was my one experience. But yeah, I think like people are so willing to talk to you, and like if they see that you're struggling speaking Chinese, they will either make their vocabulary easier or they'll go slower for you, because they just really are kind of interested in what you have to say. So I honestly, yeah, I love the people and WeChat. Those are probably like the top 2 things that I absolutely love. What else do I love? The food. Oh my god, how could I even forget about the food? In the city that I went to, they had a specialty called guobao ro, which is like pork, but it's like sweet and sour. It's like fried, and Yeah, it's amazing. Oh my god, speaking of the food, I do want to tell you guys that in the north, they have a lot of really, really fried food. So you won't really find fresh vegetables ever when you go to a restaurant. Everything is kind of fried and full of grease and oily. Not that it's bad, like it really isn't bad. It's just like you need to prepare yourself for that because you need to make sure that you're drinking enough water when you're eating that food. For me, my normal day would kind of be like maybe breakfast. Like I kind of skipped it sometimes because I don't really eat breakfast often. But if I had it, I would probably have like some kind of porridge thing. Number 2, lunch. I would have probably a cup of watermelon. That was pretty average for me. Or sometimes I would have like a bowl with a duck and rice and stuff. And then that was really good too. And then for dinner, I would go somewhere like hot pot or like somewhere that's more like filling. Like this would be my big meal of the day. It would be dinner. Yeah, and then maybe like if I don't have lunch or something, I'll have like a bubble tea or something. So that's kind of what I have. But as long as you're getting enough fresh fruit in you, and if you go to a grocery store and pick up some veggies, that's probably a good idea too. Yeah, only some of the dorm rooms actually have a fridge, so you really just have to like pay attention to like how often you're gonna eat them and blah 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 blah. Anyway, yeah, that's really, yeah. Oh, another point that I wanted to make, and this is just really random, but the sun rises at like 3 a.m. in the city that I was in because the time zone in China is all the same. I found that out while I was in Harbin, so I was kind of like surprised. Literally, it's 3 a.m. and the sun is rising. Some of my friends would go clubbing like a Saturday night and they'd be coming home and the sun's already rising. So it was just really like, whoa, I was taken aback, that's for sure. Oh, transportation. Somebody asked, what is the transportation like? So efficient. Yeah, you can take a cab, which is super, super cheap. Basically, okay, so let me just tell you this. So 5 yuan is $1 Canadian. So a taxi starts off at 8 yuan and then it takes you anywhere. And like for us to get to like downtown from our thing, which was about, I don't know, like a, 10, 12 minute drive, maybe 15, we ended up paying about 10 yuan. That's literally $2 Canadian. If there's 4 people in the taxi, that's 50 cents a person to go all the way to downtown. So honestly, freaking amazing. I love taxis. Another thing is the DTA. Oh gosh, what's it called? Subway underground thing. So that thing is super efficient too because they come so quickly and you just need to get where you're going. They also have a security thing in there too, so to make sure that like you're not bringing in anything like super dangerous or whatever. And yeah, the only thing though is like you can't pay with WeChat to get on the subway, so you would still need cash to go on the subway. And then there's buses. I didn't end up taking buses because I don't know why, I just don't like buses. I don't like them at all. Maybe next year I'll try, I don't know. So that's kind of what's up with the transportation. Also, walking gets you a lot of places. Expect to walk a lot because it's just, yeah. Oh, somebody had a really good question about vegan and vegetarian options when in China. So actually, my one friend is vegan and it really wasn't that hard. You have tons of options of tofu and vegetables, and there's so many versatile dishes that it actually is super easy. And you just have to know some simple phrases like, does it have egg? Does it have milk? And does it have meat? Basically kind of thing. And if they say no, 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 then you're good to go. So yeah, that's basically what my friend did and totally fine. All of the food there is actually really good, like especially if it's like home style. What was the best food you ate? Okay, that's too hard of a question. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. There's too many good things. Oh, okay, you know what was actually good? It was like egg tofu or something. This one vegans can't have, but it was like perfectly slimy and like the texture and like the outside was like fried and crispy kind of thing. It was so good. Like you guys, yum. Okay, and did you bring back anything from China? Of course, I brought back tote bags because they were so cheap. I brought back obviously like some t-shirts. I brought back some t-shirts for my brother. Honestly, next year I'm gonna bring more money to buy things in and I'm gonna leave more space in my suitcase. Because if I leave more space in my suitcase, then that means I can just buy more things to take back home because everything is so cheap that literally I could have shopped for my entire school supplies list kind of thing back there, but I didn't because I had no space in my suitcase. So that's how I'm doing. And are you gonna be going back to China? Yes, of course. I'm planning on doing the program again next year so that I can go back to Harbin for a month. And then I'm also thinking about doing an Isaac exchange. If you guys haven't heard of Isaac, it's really cool. Basically, you get to go to a place around the world and either volunteer, work, that kind of thing. I don't want to explain too much about it right now, but I will leave a link in the description so you guys can go check it out. But basically I can go and like I can choose a city or I can choose an opportunity kind of thing. And some of them are paid, like if you wanted to do them like for a year, but otherwise it's like a volunteer opportunity with housing and like some of them provide food. So I'm thinking about doing one of those for 6 weeks in a different city, maybe in the south side of China, because if I do it on the south side, then I would have experienced south and north. So that's kind of a few questions. If you guys have any more questions, leave them down in the comments below and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. If you guys haven't seen my vlogs on my actual trip to China, make sure to go and watch those. I will leave a link to the playlist down in the description as well. And yeah, this is the last video that I'm kind of doing on my China trip for now, just because I'm sure a lot of you aren't here to watch vlogs on China. So yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. I hope you guys got some kind of information from this. Make sure to leave your questions in the comments because I love answering them. Now, if you did like the video, make sure to like the video. And if you like me, the things I talk about and my adventures and that kind of thing, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm really excited to have you here. We are now friends. I just hope you guys have a great day, a great night, wherever you are. Just smile and be super happy. Yes. Okay, see you guys soon.